Good morning, folks. Welcome to Pro Trader Strategies. My name's Eric Wilkinson, and this is Spotting the Trade. I'm going to give you folks what you need to know before you go, and that's going to start out with talking about some economic data, see how that impacts the overall markets, maybe sprinkle in some geopolitical fodder in there to round off that market analysis, and then we'll talk about some strategies or some options trades that we can put on in lieu of those directional assumptions we come up with. Sorry, lost for words a bit, I guess. All right, let's talk about a couple of things here because that's what's really going through my mind right now. A little bit of economic data today in the form of consumer price index, a consumer price type of inflationary gauge here. And this is with durable goods orders, right, folks? This is stripping out the transportation items that could be a little bit more volatile. That would be like airplane items, cars, automobiles. So core durable goods orders, when you strip that out, came in quite nicely at 1.1%, expected to be 0.5. But when we add that back in, much less than expected at 0.8%, expected to be 0.1. Now, if you guys have been out and about looking at cars or anything like that, or even driven by a car dealership, you can see that they are pretty low on inventory. As a matter of fact, some of those folks aren't even pricing it at MSRP, which is what the manufacturer's suggested retail price is. They're putting it in at the retail price. That's all they're putting on there. That means that's probably above the suggested manufacturer retail price. And that's probably because they don't want to sell that vehicle. They want to keep it on the lot. And if you're willing to pay through the nose for it, then of course you can have that. So we're seeing that on the flip side of it, things like Thor Industries, which produces the travel vans, RVs, pull behinds, all of those types of travel trailers. Those folks have been building and stockpiling. Now, if you think about it, during the pandemic, those guys lost a lot of inventory as folks said, hey, I still want to get out and travel. I want to get out and about. Sorry about that. But the problem was there was low supply there. Those guys thought that the demand would continue, and I don't think that they're going to. So if you're thinking about a travel trailer, that would be the time to buy something like that, not necessarily a car. But if you're thinking about an investment, I think it's a time to sell something like Thor, not necessarily a time to jump in and start buying automobile makers. Even with Elon buying Tesla, or Tesla buying Twitter, Elon really buying Twitter, not necessarily Tesla. He secured the funding. If you were under a rock, that is happening. Twitter is going private. Whether or not the funding actually goes through, we'll have to wait to see, but it looks pretty solid compared to the funding secured for Tesla back in the day when he said the 420 thing with the Saudis. All right, so let's get on with the overall markets because I can't wait to start talking about these. We've got a lot of markets making a bit of a turnaround here. Not necessarily crude oil is given much of an idea, but you can see that we're starting to get some moves here in the 10-year, despite the fact that we're hearing the Fed is doing a 50. Now, remember, we just got the beige book. That means the Fed meeting is right around the corner. Are they going to go 50 at this one? It looks like they're probably going to be making some moves here rather quickly. They want to get ahead of this ball. And that's why we're starting to see interest rates start to go higher. This doesn't make sense. If they're going to raise interest rates, we do not want to see price move higher. They are inversely related, folks. So this is a bit of a disconnect going on right now in the overall markets because what we're seeing here is these prices go higher. So if we think about this as in price moving higher, we know that these are inversely related, not very good teeter-totter, but that would mean interest rates are going down. That's not necessarily what we're hearing. We're hearing that the Fed is going to raise interest rates, but the long-term starting to flip a little bit. Is that signaling a recession? We've got the Fed in a bit of a bind here right now. Figure out the pen there. All right, gold futures. While we're talking about inflation and everything else and the pressures that would go on here, maybe a flight to safety would drive folks to get into gold. Well, we're seeing real strength in the dollar, which is kind of counteracting some of these positive moves we would be expecting in things like crude oil or gold futures here because they're dollar denominated. When that strength in the dollar comes in, we start seeing some weakness in the price here. So that lever and pulley in the market is still one of those things we have to keep an eye on. But I actually think a lot of folks were raising capital yesterday, selling some of those things like precious metals to raise capital to buy equities. We've been talking about these pullbacks. Yesterday, what was the catalyst to turn this around? Well, Elon taking Twitter private was one of those catalysts to start moving it. Is it going to last long term? No, I think it could be just like more of a dead cat bounce, if you will, where we get more of a smaller bounce on these and then get the free fall. So we get this little dead cat bounce is what we call it, and then a real drop there in the overmarket markets. I'm not saying that's what's happening here with Bitcoin. I'm just talking about charting a dead cat bounce and what it looks like there. VIX, yesterday, the big spike that came off as the markets turned around. Now, I said I was waiting for confirmation. That's what I would highly suggest from you folks is, yes, we are seeing a lot of markets make some bottoms and look like they are turning around, but we have not gotten confirmation. Remember, yesterday I said I'm waiting for confirmation despite the fact that these look like they're creating bottoms. I think it could be one of those false bottoms or like the dead cat bounce scenario I'm talking about here, where you get the big sell-off, a relief rally there, if you will, and then a continuation on. So let's take a look at a couple of stocks here that I've been keeping my eye on today that are showing just that. But again, being aggressive right now in this environment is not necessarily what we want to be seeing here. This type of pattern is what is quintessential for most traders to look for in a bottoming. But again, today we need to wait for those tops to happen. If we look at Deere made a nice little bottom, Caterpillar made a beautiful little bottom there, but again, not confirming that. We could kind of flip through several of these and see that we were getting those types of bottoming patterns. I think Starbucks was another one. I don't see it showing up on my watch list here. Starbucks is creating a nice little bottom there at a like 52-week low. So those are definitely things that I would be looking for as an opportunity to make some moves to the upside. I would stay away from Netflix despite the fact that it shows like a bit of a bottom. Now, Nvidia, similar to AMD, but this one a little bit sloppier, but you can find a lot of nice bottoming patterns in most of these markets. I would stay away from CLA, Colgate Palmolive right now, but some of these other names we're going to be keeping an eye on for these bottoming patterns and see if they get confirmed. Like I said, when we're looking for a confirmation here, we need to make sure that the bottom gets confirmed. So if I'm looking at something like that, let's just see if it shows up quite nicely for AMD. No, it's not gonna let me do that. All right, AMD, let's take a look at it. It doesn't want to give me, let me switch my thing. Let's see if I do that. It does it. There we go. AMD, again, we would want to see the bottoming pattern get confirmed. So that's what you're looking for in the markets right now is a green candle today, right? Not getting that as of right now, but we need to see some follow through. So it's not just like what we're talking about here with the dead cat bounce. Be very careful of that. Sell into the rips, still looking to buy the dips with selling some puts. As a matter of fact, on Wednesday, we're doing the webinar on selling puts. So please check that out so you guys can get the rules on all of that, cracking the code to trading options. We're going to really dig into what are the levers and pulleys that are driving these markets. All right. That's all I got. If you can't take that, take it easy.